Savannas, also known as a tropical grassland, are a rolling grassland scattered with shrubs and widely spaced trees. They have a wide, open plain with a clear view and hot air updrafts. Savannas can be found between tropical rainforest and desert biomes. They are mainly seen on both sides of the equator and on edges of tropical rainforest. The most familiar savannas are the East African savannas covered with acacia trees. The Serengeti plains of Tanzania are also well known. They have animals like lions, zebras, elephants, and giraffes, to name a few. Savannas are also found in South Africa and cover 2.5 million square kilometers. Brazil's Cerrado is open woodland of short, twisted trees with a great diversity of animals. Also, there's a savanna in Australia with eucalyptus trees. Savannas have warm temperatures with 2 seasons, a long, dry winter and a wet summer. There is an average of 4 inches of rain during the dry season, with no rainfall between December and February. During the wet season, there's an average of 15 to 25 inches of rainfall. During this season, it is very hot and humid with major rains in the afternoon. African savannas have large herds of grazing hoofed animals. There are 40 different species of hoofed mammals in Africa and 16 browsers. These animals have specialized eating habits to reduce competition for food. Most animals in savannas have long legs or wings for long migration, and many burrow underground to avoid the heat. Many animals have other physical adaptations, like elephants having big ears to reduce heat. Tropical grasslands are a great place for birds of prey like hawks and buzzards. Plants are highly specialized to grow in this environment during long periods of drought. They have long roots that can reach the deep water table, thick bark, and trunks that can store water. Many plants have adaptations to discourage animals from grazing on them, such as grasses being too sharp or bitter tasting for some animals but not others. The soil distribution is complicated and related to the geology and rainfall. Major types of soil in the savannas include lithosols, lateritic soils, cracking clays, deep sands, and alluvial soils.
Unfortunately, there are several threats to the savannas. The first is vegetation threats due to desertification. A study by Ben Strobel in 2014 showed climate change aiding desertification where average rainfall has readily decreased. Other causes include farming due to declining death rates causing populations to increase, thus more resources are needed, overgrazing cattle, irrigation removing water away from tree roots, and erosion. When vegetation is removed, the soil is no longer held together by the roots, so the soil is eroded by the wind in the dry season and water in the wet season. Effects of desertification may lead to famine or rural to urban migration. In Namibia, insignificant and highly disputed management practices are a result of lacking baseline data for the ecosystem. Because of this, there is a poor understanding of the biota, especially the vegetation resource base. This study specifically noted the undefined characteristics such as biodiversity, dynamics, potential utilization, and limitations. Specific vegetation affected by desertification in the savanna includes the baobab trees, various shrubs, and wild grass. The School of Natural Resources and Spatial Sciences, Polytech of Namibia, through the Desert Margins program, is focusing conservation efforts by maintaining vegetative coverage. For further conservation, the inventory of vegetation in Namibia must be identified. It was through this study in which newly described vegetation associations emerged. These associations represent 4 important ecoregions in Namibia, including forest savannas and woodland, the Kartsveld, the thornbush savanna, and the camelthorn. Following efforts will aim to restore biodiversity and contribute heavily towards the vegetation survey of the Namibia project. Other animal species have become threatened as well. Species threats to birds have been discovered due to toxicity. In 2015, polybrominated diphenyl ethers, or PBDEs, have been reported in eggshells of the southern ground hornbill and wattled crane in South Africa, leading to possible extinction by poisoning. PBDEs are additive flame retardants in consumer products and have been an emerging environmental pollutant in recent years. Reproductive dysfunctions and decreased hatching may lead to extinction. Though it is shown that the wattled crane is more heavily affected by these poisons, this may have in turn led to the decrease in the southern ground hornbill population. This directly represents the importance of interaction and dependencies in populations. Dasso and colleagues at the Tishwane University of Technology, Pretorio Department of Environmental, Water, and Earth Sciences, and the National Zoological Gardens of South Africa are making the attempt to reverse this potential extinction. 2 conservation initiatives, the Wattled Crane Recovery Program and the Mabula Ground Hornbill Project, were initiated. These projects included the collection of second eggs and hand-rearing of the chicks. The successful reintroduction of these hand-reared and captive-bred birds is the objective for conservation efforts. Further analyses of samples must be taken to determine the potential impact. Another endangered species in the savanna is the zebra. Gravy zebra has become an endangered species in the Kenya savannas. A study by Zero and Company in 2013 from the Impala Research Center in Nayuku, Laikipia, Kenya, has compared 3 methods for estimating population densities as the first step in population conservation. The comparison for precision and the cost effectiveness was done for distance sampling and photographic capture-recapture and a new technique, the Random Encounter Model, or REM, that uses camera trap encounter rates to estimate density. According to the study, photographic capture-recapture is the most precise and line transect distance sampling the least precise. Line transects and photographic capture and recapture surveys are cost-effective in the first year, and REM is the most cost-effective in the long term. Future studies will have to determine what is most important to conservation efforts of these ungulates. As you can see, the savanna is an exciting place. This biome is a complex ecological system that is always changing, and its dynamic features have left countless opportunities to be explored.